picks.
No. Just do it. Let me plug my ears while you do it.
I don't know. We were talking free money.
For your bookie.
Free money.
For your bookie.
You keep saying that, and yet, my record this year, 19-6-2. We went 6-2-2 last week.
Mm-hmm.
6-2-2. We did have two.
I have a strong sense that this is going to come back around.
We had two pushes. 19-6-2 to start the year. I've got a 13-game head start.
Yeah.
All I got to do is be less than 13 games below 500 to stay above 500. That's all I got to do. I've jumped out to a big lead.
All right.
So these are my college football picks against the spread. You can take these and bet your mortgage on them.
Don't do that.
And if Max said that you could.
No, I didn't. I'm literally right now saying don't.
Max, let's start with an intrastate game.
There's a few this week, and this is probably the most interesting one. Texas Tech at Houston, 11 a.m. Saturday. The Cougs, a 6-point favorite, and I feel like that's surprising.
It is, but it isn't. Basically, remember, this is on the road for Tech, so they're saying that this would be a 3-point Houston game at a neutral site.
I have a ton of personal respect for Houston and feel like they can win this game.
Sure.
It's more that I'm surprised that the general public has this much confidence in Houston.
I think you're right. I think this sets up actually fairly well for Houston. Okay. First of all, this is Tech's first road game of the year, and that's you never know what they're going to do on the road. Secondly, Houston has been particularly good at home over the past few years.
Also true.
That's part of it. The other thing is that if you look at the matchups, this is going to test the strongest part of the Tech of Tech, which is their offense and particularly their passing offense, against the strongest part of Houston, which is particularly their front seven, being able to get pressure, and then a playmaking secondary. Right. So I think this sets up well for Houston in that regard. The other side of it, with the Tech defense, if we hadn't had last week's game where Houston really torched what's a pretty bad Rice defense, then I would be a little bit more hesitant on this one.
Right.
But I think that Kyle Allen's starting to click. I think this offense is starting to get rolling. It sounds like they're going to have De'Aaron King back there, who is one of their key kind of.
It sounds like he was close last week, and they were like, why bother?
Exactly, and they didn't need him. Yeah. So they're going to have him back. They're going to have a full core. If you're Tech, I think that this is the biggest test of your defense. Probably. No, that's not true. Arizona State was a really good test of their defense, and they held up okay.
Test of the offense. This is the best defense.
This is the best. Yeah. This is the biggest test they're going to have on offense yet. So if the offense gets stopped, can the Texas Tech defense stand on its head? Right now, I like Houston. I'm going to take Houston -6 in this game. I think that they're going to cover this game. Yeah, I think.
I don't feel that good about it.
You don't?
No.
I'm going to take Houston -6 in this game. I don't know. I've got a good feeling about Houston in this.
All right.
What's next?
Nice. Good feelings. That's definitely what you should
for sure
risk all this on. A&M versus Arkansas, Jerry World, 11 a.m. Saturday. Arkansas might be a 2.5-point favorite.
This is weird. I have seen both places. I have seen both. I've seen both A&M as a 2.5-point favorite and Arkansas as a 2.5-point favorite. Now, one thing that I will say is that it's not unusual for a line to move.
Right.
And but 5 points is a pretty big swing, and also for it to be pretty, even. Like in that regard, where it's 2.5 on this side, 2.5 on this side, makes me think that one of them is wrong. Yeah. As a result, this is very interesting to me. Let's just assume. Well, we'll go from on both sides. I think my pick would be the same either way. I'll say that. Okay. So Arkansas has a decent defense and a bad offense. That's basically what we figured out about them. They make some plays in the secondary, which does not bode well for Texas A&M. If Kellen Mond, who was pretty decent last week, can keep it up, then that would be very good. But this is going to be the best defense that he's faced, because I think that the Arkansas defense is better than UCLA, and he was, albeit in his first game, pretty inept against UCLA. The secondary with Santos Ramirez and Kevin Richardson is pretty solid for Arkansas. They do not get great pressure. Which I think it bodes well for A&M in this game, that if they can give Kellen Mond a little bit of time to operate back there, that will be very.
Of course, that's assuming that the offensive line has figured out all its crap, which isn't 100%.
And as far as the offense is concerned, basically the running game for Arkansas has been kind of scuffling. They've got a couple kids we like, including Texas kids like Devois Whaley, the running back. Ever since Raleigh Williams III went down, they really didn't have another option offensively from the running back. And the bottom line is that if the running game is not getting going, then Austin Allen, their quarterback, he's not good enough to cover it up.
Right.
That's basically the name of the game. So, for me, this comes down to A&M being able to stop the run. A&M being able to stop the run and A&M being able to protect Kellen Mond. That's why the other thing about this, I think A&M just kind of owns Arkansas right now. Like last year, I thought that Arkansas was better than A&M, and A&M beat them.
Right.
Like Arkansas has never won that game at AT&T Stadium since they moved it there. I just don't think that streak's going to matter. So either way, we're gonna judge this based on, because the line I read was Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to take A&M plus 2.5.
Yeah.
If it ends up being where it's like A&M wins by, or like A&M loses by 1, right? We'll call that a push. Is that fair? Since we can't get a firm line, what do you want?
I'll give you nothing.
Okay.
Absolutely no leeway.
Okay.
This is your pick, and you stick with it.
Okay, fine. But I'm just saying. I mean, I'm trying to sacrifice here. I'm saying that if A&M doesn't cover the 2.5, like if they only lose by 1, I would win on Arkansas plus 2.5.
Sure.
Or I'm sorry, Arkansas minus 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take Texas A&M plus 2.5. That is my official
prediction.
prediction.
All right.
I think they win this game outright. I'll just say that.
Fair
so,
enough.
There's that. What's next?
Royal Rumble of the weekend. I'm excited about this one. 16 TCU travels to Stillwater, take on number 6 Oklahoma State. Both teams have looked pretty awesome so far. 2:30 p.m. Saturday. Oklahoma State, a 13-point home favorite.
This is a great matchup of strength on strength again, because the TCU defense we think has been very solid this year so far, and they're going up against an Oklahoma State offense that has been a flamethrower.
Right.
Mason Rudolph has been great. Their wide receivers, Marcel Aitman and James Washington, have been fantastic. The running back, Justice Hill, is good enough to keep you honest, and that's all they need. You know, they just need a running game that's good enough to keep you honest. I don't know if this defense for Oklahoma State has been tested yet. Tulsa's a decent offense. South Alabama, nothing to write home about. And Pitt is pretty trash. So
this is a flamethrower that they're facing.
That's exactly right. Yeah. This offense is really impressive. And so if you're TCU, you know, you hate to keep putting it on one guy, but this comes down to Kenny Hill taking care of the football. Yeah. They've been decent stopping the run, right, with their linebacker, Chad Whitener. They got a solid defensive back in Trey Flowers from Civil Steel, Brennan, San Antonio area.
San Antonio area. I don't remember which school, though.
So here's the thing. Again, this comes down to, TCU's first road game. Mm-hmm. They're on the road.
Yep.
So that's part of it. They have to go on the road. This comes down to, ultimately, I think that TCU is going to be able to slow down, not stop, but slow down the Oklahoma State offense. Mm-hmm. The question is going to be whether or not they are able to move the ball and whether or not they are able, Kenny Hill is able to take care of the football, which on the road has been a very big problem for him. I'm going to take TCU. I'm going to take TCU plus 13 in this one. I think that line's a little overcooked right now.
I think it is too.
So I'm going to take TCU plus 13. I just don't think they're going to cover I think Oklahoma State probably wins this game, to be real honest. I think it's probably something along the lines of 34-24, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to start setting the over-under for you at 100 points.
Really? You think this game
just seems
crazy?
Like one that could spiral.
I think the TCU defense is going to be able to hold up, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure I trust Kenny Hill enough right now, to be quite honest. So I'm going to go with TCU plus 13, but I do think Oklahoma State wins. What's next?
Number 3, Oklahoma travels to Waco. They're taking on Baylor. Oklahoma, a 28-point favorite, 5:30 p.m. Saturday.
So this is just the right line to make me interested, because Oklahoma's an elite team.
They know what they're doing with the line.
They're elite.
Yeah.
They do everything well, right? They do everything well, and there's a couple of ththings that they do elite. Right. They pass the ball well, and they stop the pass well. Baker Mayfield, they've got a great tight end in Mark Andrews, which can give.
Flowers is from Judson, by the way.
Judson,
thanks,
thank
Mr.
you.
Garza.
I was going to say he's from San Antonio. Yeah. Sedarian Lamb, we don't know his status. I know he went out of the last game, but Sedarian Lamb's been their number 1 wide receiver, of course, from Richmond Foster. What's interesting, I think this comes down to a number of factors. One, what does Terrence Williams mean? You've said for a while that you think that
he's their best player.
He's their best
player, and I think they're not winless if they have him at this point, and they might have 2 wins.
And Baylor's going to have to run the ball to win to keep this game close. Yeah. They're going to have to run the ball because Oklahoma's pass defense is really good.
Yeah.
And they get, more importantly, Oklahoma gets great pressure with Ogbania Okoronkwo, their big defensive end, who's been a monster. But maybe they can be run on. Okay. The other side of it's also key because if Oklahoma's going to blow the doors off Baylor, they're going to have to run the ball as well. Baylor has not been good stopping the run. Oklahoma's only been okay running the ball. So those to me are the factors. That said, it's really hard to pick Baylor right here, I think. I think I just think that right now you've got an elite team.
You can't trust them.
Against a team that's scuffling. I just can't trust Baylor right now. So I'm going to take Oklahoma plus 28. What's next?
All right.
Minus 28. Not plus 28.
28.
I would definitely take Oklahoma plus 28. Minus 28.
UAB travels to Apogee to take on North Texas. 5:30 p.m. Saturday. UNT is a 11-point favorite.
So UAB, of course, they've revamped resurrected rather. That's the word I'm looking for. Resurrected their football program. They're better than expected, right? They're better than expected, but they're really relying on the running game. They're relying on Spencer Brown and AJ Erdley. They run the ball a lot. If they're throwing, that means they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So if you're TC or if you're North Texas, if they're throwing, that's when you jump on them.
Right.
They do have a decent secondary, but they have been bad against the run, which is why I think Jeffrey Wilson has to have a big game. Mason Fine's going to have an opportunity, but I think that the key here is Jeffrey Wilson. Can he get loose? Can he have another big game against this UAB defense? I'm going to take North Texas. I like North Texas at home minus 11. I think they cover it. In the end, I think UAB is just kind of under-talented because they are still kind of rebuilding that program. So I'm going to take North Texas minus 11. What's next?
All righty. Arkansas State at SMU on the Hilltop, 6 p.m. Saturday. SMU is a 5.5-point favorite.
In some respects, this is the Spider-Man pointing at himself meme because Arkansas State, if you're not familiar, has a huge air raid offense and almost no defense. The defense is bad versus the pass and terrible against the run. They're one of the worst in the nation against the run. Great quarterback in Justice Hansen. Number of receivers in Christian Booker, Chris Murray. To me, this comes down to whether or not SMU can run the ball.
And I bet they can.
If they can run the ball with Kamon Freeman and Xavier Jones, I trust the SMU defense to get enough stops. What's funny about this one is that I don't think this game is going to be decided by less than 5 points is my thing. So you either think, is SMU going to win or is Arkansas State
Fair
going to win?
enough.
There's too many points that are going to be out there for this game to be like real nip and tuck in my mind to be decided plus or minus 5.
Sure.
I'm going to take SMU being at home. I like them minus 5.5. I think they cover it. I think they probably win by like 8 or 9 or something like that. I'm going to go SMU. What's next?
All right. Florida International traveling to Houston, taking on Rice, 6:30 p.m. Saturday. Rice, a 1.5-point favorite.
How about that?
At home.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So FIU is not very good. You know who the coach is? It's Butch Davis.
Oh, that's right.
Butch Davis, the head coach of FIU. They're not good, okay?
Former Rangers great.
Yes, of course. FIU is not good. They want to pass, but they're just not good at it. Okay, like they want to throw the ball with Alex Magoo and Julian Williams, their wide receiver. They're just not good at it. Everything about their running game is okay. They can stop the run relatively effectively, and they can run the ball okay with Alex Gardner, but they get no pass rush. So Sam Glazeman or golly, the kid from Edgewood, I'm blanking on him.
Tyner,
Jackson Tyner. Thank you. They're gonna have time to throw in my mind. They're terrible against the pass. Everything here is set up for a Rice quarterback to take advantage of this.
Yeah.
Everything. I don't know.
And yet,
like I'm just so.
The trust is hard.
It's so hard to trust Rice. It's so hard. Maybe I'm
I
too close to it.
I would be more nervous if they hadn't already beaten a conference opponent in UTEP.
Yeah, on the road.
On the road.
And all road. I'll be
decisively.
I think UTEP's the worst team in Conference USA, but. Yeah, I have Florida International here, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to take Rice. You convinced me.
I talked you into it. Great. I'm going to ruin your record from the inside.
I'm going to take Rice.
Like
I'm going to take Rice minus 1.5, and I hold you personally responsible for this. So Rice minus 1.5 over Florida International. What's
game
next?
For the Texas football nerds. UTSA taking on Texas State for the bi-district state championship trophy thing. 6:30 p.m. Saturday. UTSA is a 13.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I mean that shows you what little respect Vegas has for Texas State in my mind. I don't think UTSA is this incredible football program. I think they're pretty good, but I don't think they're 14 points good on the road. Texas State does one thing well. Texas State is good in the front seven.
Yeah.
Everything else, it's bad.
Kind of hit or miss.
UTSA, they're not going to be able. I don't think they're going to be able to score on UTSA. I think UTSA's defense has proven itself to be pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And I think that when you saw what they did to Baylor,
Yep.
I think they've proven themselves to be pretty darn good defensively. And the question is going to be whether or not UTSA can find some offensive consistency. Can they get Jalen Rhodes going? Can they get Dalton Sturm going? One of those guys.
Oh, I think they will.
I think they will too. I like UTSA minus 13.5 here. I think they probably win something along the lines like 28-7, something like that. I don't trust the Texas State offense to keep them in the game.
Yeah.
It's a rivalry game. It's another one of those games that if you want to take Texas State, you have to say it's a rivalry game. Crazy things happen.
Right.
But I have to go with what's on paper, and for me, on paper, UTSA covers 13.5. What's next?
Finally, in a game and a line that is sure to make the diehards in El Paso wince like no other, UTEP at New Mexico State, 7 p.m. Saturday. And UTEP is a 18-point dog.
That's embarrassing that they're an 18-point dog to New Mexico State. Because here's the thing. New Mexico State's not great. And what's weird is that they are trying to throw the ball even though they have Larry Rose III.
Yep.
I think they're trying to manage his workload a little bit more, but they're trying to
fair
throw
enough.
the ball with Tyler Rogers, their quarterback. They got a decent wide receiver in Jaleel Scott. The defense is beatable through the air. They have a decent pass rush. Do you know who who is leading New Mexico State in tackles?
No.
I looked this up. Remember Dalton Harrington from Hallettsville?
Hey, all right.
He's leading them in tackles.
Nice.
Playing linebacker for him.
All right.
Look. UTEP's really bad. And
It's a rivalry game. They can't lose by this much, right?
yeah, they can.
No, it's a rivalry game. Come on, man.
New Mexico State.
Wow.
Minus 18. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think
Dude, if they lost to Rice if they got truck sticked by Rice, this is by the way, this is their second road game.
they got but that was a
They go 2 Las Cruces.
14-point loss to Rice.
I'm gonna
14.
I'm gonna take New Mexico. That was at home.
I know.
This is in
But
Las Cruces.
Cruces is
I'm
just up the road.
taking New Mexico State minus
All right.
18.
Fair enough.
You don't ask bad to do good, and
Fair
UTEP
enough.
is bad.
Fair enough.
So my college football picks for this week: Houston minus 6 against Texas Tech, Texas A&M, I guess plus 2.5. Plus 2.5 supposedly over Arkansas. I like TCU plus 13 at Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma plus 28 at Baylor. I like North Texas minus 11 at home against UAB. I like SMU minus 5.5 at home against Arkansas State. I like Rice minus 1.5. Oh God, minus 1.5 at home against Florida International. I like UTSA minus 13.5 at Texas State, and I like New Mexico State minus 18. At home against UTEP.